Justin Herbert just got paid. He is now the highest quarterback ever in NFL history. And there are many people on social media that I've been going at it hard with who've been talking hella spicy about Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert just got paid a 5-year deal worth $262.5 million. And instead of congratulating the man, we rather use this as an opportunity to lay out dumb narratives and casual arguments for why he's overrated. Let me tell you something. Justin Herbert is not the full reason why the Chargers blew that 27-0 lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs. Now, he is part of the problem for why they lost that game, but the majority of the blame falls on Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley is not a good coach. He doesn't have good clock management. You saw how he decided to play Mike Williams late in the season and he got injured. He's just not a good coach. He's one of those coaches that's really caught up in the analytics side of the game, and it cost him. And the LA Chargers are a franchise that is historically known for wasting great quarterbacks. I lie, Phillip Rivers. Was Phillip Rivers overrated? Give it. Phillip Rivers has had some good teams, but there were some seasons where Phillip Rivers had absolutely nothing to work with, and the Chargers didn't really do anything to help him have a better opportunity to have success in the postseason. You look at Justin Herbert, the dude gets to one playoff game and there's already a narrative thrown out about him that he's overrated because he's not a good playoff performer. Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions in the first half. Yeah, he led the Jaguars back to a comeback, but who had the better coaching staff in that game? And if you guys have been listening to this channel or subscribe to this podcast, you will remember me telling you guys that Doug Peterson and the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to be able to pull that game out. They were a more balanced football team. They could run the football, and they were more well coached. Brandon Staley was nowhere close to as good as a coach as what Doug Peterson was that night when he led the Jaguars back from 26 down with Trevor Lawrence under center. The LA Chargers have a star in their hand. And if you're trying to label him overrated, I would want to ask you, where is he rated? Is he overrated because people consider him to be a top 10 quarterback? Let me tell you something. Do you not know how many doubters Justin Herbert had when he was coming out of Oregon? I am a Justin Herbert truther through and through, because there were so many people out there who were labeling Justin Herbert to be the next bust. So many people out there. And you can look up how many analysts out there were calling Justin Herbert a bust. There should be a montage of it. And ever since I saw him at Oregon, I knew this dude was the truth. But then you look at what he does his rookie season, 15 minutes before kickoff against the Kansas City Chiefs. His coaching staff comes up to him and says, "Hey, Justin boy, you got to go in there because something happened to Tyrod Taylor." 15 minutes before kickoff. You probably didn't get a lot of first team reps neither all throughout practice. That matters. And then Justin Fields goes out there, a dude who was supposed to have to sit a year. He was supposed to be a big boomer bust prospect. Goes out there his first NFL game and lights it up against Kansas City. Once I saw that performance, I knew Justin Herbert was an elite quarterback. I don't think that winning a playoff game makes you an elite quarterback. There are plenty of quarterbacks who have won playoff games who were nowhere close to being elite. I like Joe Flacco, Jimmy Garoppolo. Come on, man. Brock Purdy. All you guys doubt Brock Purdy, but Kyle Shanahan went to the NFC Conference Championship game with him. So when you look at Justin Herbert, if you give him a Kyle Shanahan, you tell me how far that team goes. And tell me they're not a Super Bowl favorite. Kyle Shanahan with a Justin Herbert? You see, there are some situations where great quarterbacks just get drafted into a great situation. Brock Purdy got drafted into a great situation. I love Brock Purdy. But at the same time, if he was drafted into a situation like what Justin Fields is in with the Chicago Bears, would he be the same player? Justin Herbert, if he was drafted by the Miami Dolphins and he had the current weapons that Tua Tagovailoa had right now, how differently do you feel about the Chargers going into this season? So who should we really blame? Justin Herbert or the Los Angeles Chargers? Remind you that they already have wasted a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback in Phillip Rivers. Not saying Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer, but I say Hall of Fame caliber because he had the potential to be a lock for the Hall of Fame. And he was one of the best quarterbacks throughout his time when he played. You look at Justin Herbert, calling this man overrated is kind of disrespectful. Considering the situation that he had to deal with last season, you guys make all these excuses for certain quarterbacks like Tua, Daniel Jones. But you look at Justin Herbert and you think just because this dude has been so dominating from his opening game that he can be able to overcome everything. He can't. This dude carried the Chargers on his back to the playoffs last season. Do you not know how many injuries they had on the offensive line? Seriously, they were down 4 starters at one point. Storm Norton was starting for them at offensive tackle. He was one of the worst offensive tackles in the league. So I'm just saying, we got to stop having this misguided criticism towards some of these quarterbacks. Just because you feel like they're overhyped, just because they're always gassed up by the media. Let me give you guys a news flash. Quarterback is considered to be the most important position in the NFL. So since it's the most important position in the NFL, it's going to get a lot of attention. It's going to get the most attention. And yes, getting criticism when your team loses is part of the quarterback position. And getting a lot of glory when your team succeeds comes with it as well. But it's also a position where you still do need to have a good supporting cast around you. No movie can be great with just one great lead actor. You also need good supporting role characters. And for Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, they all got great coaches. They all are with stable organizations. You look at the LA Chargers, they're dysfunctional. They haven't really done a good job when it comes to signing guys in free agency. And you have a head coach who's caught up in the analytics. Brandon Staley is supposed to be a defensive-minded coach, but once again, like I tell you guys all the time, if you are somebody who's labeled an offensive-minded or a defensive-minded coach, the worst part of your team should not be where you specialize at. And if it is, that is a red flag about you as a head coach. I'm looking at Justin Herbert and him getting this record-setting extension that probably is only going to last a couple of days because Joe Burrow is about to break the bank and succeed that, and he deserves it. But I think instead of hating on Justin Herbert and trying to point misguided criticism at him, we should be pointing 90% of the fingers at the LA Chargers organization. Because let me ask you guys this. If Justin Herbert was drafted by, let's say, Sean McVay versus Matthew Stafford being on the LA Chargers, who do you guys think would be the better team? And also, do you think that the Rams are a better team with Justin Herbert than what you guys are? Do the Rams have a better shot at winning the Super Bowl with Justin Herbert compared to you? What are the Chargers without Justin Herbert? And I already know that you Chargers fans understand the importance and the value of Justin Herbert. This isn't directed at you. This is directed at the Justin Herbert hate club out there. There's too much haterade when it comes to Justin Herbert. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the game. He's been one of the best ever since he first took his first snap of the NFL. 15 minutes before kickoff against Kansas City, his rookie season. And you guys continue to put this misguided blame on him when the Chargers have been through 2 different head coaches, potentially a third next season if Brandon Staley gets fired. This is his 3rd offensive coordinator, man. This is his 3rd OC. Do you know that the majority of the times that quarterbacks that end up becoming bust have multiple offensive coordinators? Remember Marcus Mariota? His time throughout Tennessee? Jameis Winston with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had 3 different head coaches. The quarterbacks that are the most successful have stability on the coaching staff. Justin Herbert is learning another system again. He's in his 4th season. This is going to be his 3rd new system that he's going to have to learn. Do you not know how much of a hindrance that is to a young QB's development? And the Chargers offense will be really good this season. They're not going to have the same issues that they did when they had the previous offensive coordinator. But Kellen Moore isn't going to solve all of the issues on this team. You want to know why? Because the issues with the LA Chargers lie way further than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is 0% of the problem for the LA Chargers. The problem with the LA Chargers and why Justin Herbert doesn't have the playoff success that many people feel he should have is due to the fact that Brandon Staley is not a good head coach. You got an organization that has a history of rolling away of their Hall of Fame level quarterbacks, not giving them the proper supporting cast, a la Phillip Rivers. When you look at the best quarterbacks in the game, they all have stability. And Justin Herbert has 0 with the LA Chargers. We got to stop this. We really got to stop this. We got to stop guiding. We got to stop misguiding, everybody that's new to the NFL with these non-true narratives. Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterback talents to ever enter the NFL within the last couple of years. This dude is a robot. What he did last season should be admired. It should be glorified. He carried the LA Chargers on his back. And instead of giving him the proper credit he deserves, you decide that you want to call him overrated? What?
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
What is wrong with some of y'all on Twitter? Do some of y'all think before y'all tweet out some of these crazy things? Yes, he deserves a little bit of the blame for what happened against Jacksonville. That was awful. It really was. But at the end of the day, that really falls on coaching. Because if he had a better head coach, would that have happened with Kyle Shanahan? Would that have happened with Bill Belichick? Would that have happened with a guy that was way much better than Brandon Staley? Sean McVay? I mean, it just kind of looks like people are getting too caught up in the fact that Justin Herbert is so marketable and he's on so many advertisements and you see him on social media so often, and the Chargers fan base is so diehard about him because they should be. He's their franchise quarterback that the non-Charger fans out there get irritated. And people have these dumb behind, ways of trying to define how an elite quarterback should be viewed and the accomplishments that he should have. And the fact of the matter is just this. Elite quarterbacks aren't just good by themselves. They don't just win because they're great. They also win because they have an elite head coach. There's not a single great quarterback in the Hall of Fame that's won a Super Bowl that didn't play with an elite head coach with elite talent around them. Nobody. So when you're looking at Justin Herbert, and the next time you think about calling him overrated, you need to ask yourself, what if he was playing with a better head coach? You remember what happened with Matthew Stafford. And Justin Herbert is way talented than Matthew Stafford. We should not even be having to debate if Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback or not. He doesn't have anything to prove when it comes to that. A playoff win should not justify that. You want to know why? Because take Justin Herbert off the LA Chargers and swap him with Kirk Cousins. Who makes their team better in that trade? Kirk Cousins with the Chargers or Justin Herbert with the Minnesota Vikings? I think that the Minnesota Vikings probably win the Super Bowl. He probably becomes arguably the best quarterback in the NFC, up there with Jalen. I think we just kind of forget the fact that he plays against Patrick Mahomes twice a year. You know, it's a tough division. He doesn't have a great organization. But we need to stop blaming Justin Herbert so much. He's not overrated. The Chargers, they're just a bad franchise. Stop putting all this blame on Justin Herbert for the Chargers' meltdown in the playoffs against Jacksonville. Because with a better head coach, that doesn't happen. That's more indicative on Brandon Staley than it is Justin Herbert.